And you would understand that from the point of view of MedSafe, whose job it is to approve a vaccine, the benefit risk assessment is the question to be asked, isn't it?
Well, usually it is. But you know, we've had multiple concerns that we've written about, including in our substantial evidence to you, and on our website, ncdsos.com, where we've there are many posts, but also significant open letters where we've listed all of our concerns all the way through, with evidence. And I have to disagree that it's a vaccine. It's more properly described as a gene technology. It is very, very different. It is not a traditional vaccine. And calling it as such risked sidelining perhaps a doctor's natural inquisitiveness or instincts.
Ultimately, the mRNA vaccines are an example for that cell and gene therapy. I always like to say, if we had surveyed 2 years ago in the public, would you be willing to take gene or cell therapy and inject it into your body, we would have probably had a 95% refusal rate. I think this pandemic has also opened many people's eyes to innovation in the way that was maybe not possible before.
Another definition worth checking is vaccine. Next slide, please. I am one of the academics that argues that these mRNA products, which everybody calls vaccines, are qualitatively different than standard vaccines. And so I found it fascinating to learn that Merriam-Webster changed its definition of vaccine early this year. mRNA products did not meet the definition of vaccine that has been in place for 15 years at Merriam-Webster, but the definition was expanded such that mRNA products are now vaccines.
Because these vaccines, or I should say so-called vaccines, they aren't vaccines, and I was convinced that that was not an important issue. Lots of people were upset by the redefinition of the term vaccine. I wasn't convinced it was an important issue. I have switched sides on this. I now think the definition is vitally important, and we're beginning to see why.
Why do you think it is not a vaccine?
There are really two issues. One, it doesn't produce immunity to catching the disease or transmitting it. So it's not a vaccine by that metric. And in this case, what they've done is they've smuggled in a really, truly, radically new technology, and they caused us all not to worry about it very much by using the term vaccine, right? If they had said, all right, we've got this pandemic, and in order to prevent it from spreading, we're going to have everybody take gene therapy, everybody would have said, what? Gene therapy? Is that safe? So the point is, we had a category, and it was called vaccine, and we all thought there are some crazy folks who are worried about vaccines, but in general it's safe. So if something carries that label, it's probably safe too.
They changed the definition of vaccine, correct? Who wants to quick speak to that? I mean, quickly. Who can? Dr. Cole?
Thank you, Senator. Yes, and this was the sleight of hand. So societally, we have this construct, vaccine. And most people in their minds historically think vaccine. Oh gosh, we've got our childhood vaccines, military vaccines, etc. Vaccine. To change the term for injecting a gene into the body that's never been used ever before, this platform, a lipid nanoparticle plus a gene, is not a vaccine. It is a mechanism to make your body a factory for a foreign protein. The human cells in the human body are meant to make human proteins. So this is a grand experiment to leap forward, making your body a factory for a foreign and now known to be toxic protein. They changed it, and it was a sleight of hand in the CDC's definition of a vaccine, something that will, quote, stimulate an immune response. Well, that would include dirt. That would include vitamin D. That would include licking the kitty cat, whatever. That stimulates an immune response. So they made it such a broad definition compared to preventing or causing immunity to prevent you acquiring that disease in the future. It was a subtle word game.
If you think about the vaccines are not traditional vaccines. Clear to everyone, right? Something's different about them. Some people know exactly what they're new, but what they really are is they're defined as gene therapy products, right? And there's an FDA definition of a gene therapy in their document on shedding from 2015. And in that document, they state that a gene therapy is any time you inject genetic material and that material then produces a product. Okay? Clearly that's what these vaccines are, right? We inject mRNA, mRNA makes spike, gene therapy. Okay.
We have the inventor of mRNA vaccines sitting right to my right here. Robert, is this a vaccine or is it a gene therapy?
As I've said repeatedly, it came out of a gene therapy research program. These and the adenoviral vectors are absolutely gene therapy technology applied for the purpose of eliciting an immune response.
I don't care what the FDA says. There's your answer right there.
Okay, thanks.